This video contains spoilers for Lie to Me Season 2 Episode 1 titled The Core of It. Hello and welcome back to another video by The Rose System. I'm Sarah and today we are doing another reaction video. This time we are reacting to Lie to Me Season 2 Episode 1 titled The Core of It. This video does contain spoilers for one of the storylines in this episode. We have added details for Lie to Me in the description below. Let's get into it. I was introduced to Lie to Me by a friend. When they found out that I am a part of a system, they wanted my take on this episode. So we sat down and watched it together. I had control over the playback and would pause each time something brought up thoughts. I have since watched the episode again to take notes so that I could make this video. Lie to Me is a TV series that follows Cal Lightman. Cal is a doctor who analyzes body language and vocal patterns to determine and highlight deception. His skills are used by law enforcement to solve crimes and vet people for powerful roles. Season 2 Episode 1 follows two cases, the first being the story of a young woman who has experienced a psychic vision of a murder, and the second storyline won't be talked about in this video. I will put a huge trigger warning on this episode. The opening scene has quite a bit of blood. There are passing mentions of this word, as well as constant sexual themes. There is also a really intense physical assault with the threat of sexual assault. Characters are called offensive terms for sex workers, and every character is under intense, constant scrutiny. If you have been through trauma and any of the above are triggers, I would not recommend watching this episode on your own. Even with foreknowledge of what would happen, I was still triggered. The episode begins with Cal at a book signing where he is approached by a young woman named Trisha who tells him that she has witnessed a murder through a vision. He takes her back to his facility to interview her. After he is pulled into a meeting, she leaves and Cal goes to look for her using the information she gave him. He ends up finding her at a seedy hotel, upon which she does not recognize him and goes by the name Jessie. From here, Cal realizes that this woman has DID, and the psychic visions were the memories of another altar. Jessie agrees to return to the facility with him and they do some hypnotism to bring Trisha back out. After Trisha leaves the front, we are introduced to Sophie, who was labelled the original. Sophie worked alongside Cal to further the investigation. After some investigating, RJ, the protector, is triggered out and shares his memories with Trisha, who then lets Cal know. Cal then instructs Sophie to draw out the murderer and make him confess. It is neatly wrapped up by the end of the episode. Cal and his partner Gillian discuss Trisha's diagnosis. Cal uses outdated language such as multiple personality disorder and personalities, whilst Gillian bounces between the current correct terms and outdated language. Initially, she corrects Cal's terms, including saying dissociative identity disorder and alters. As the episode progresses, she stops and starts using the outdated terms. The science in the initial stages of the episode is semi-accurate based on my current limited knowledge, but the show also uses a lot of outdated science. The big one is the concept of the core. The show identifies Sophie as the core personality and the other alters are taking over her life. She calls herself the real one. This is outdated thinking. The current theory is the theory of structural dissociation, and core personality is disputed. Some systems do prefer the concept of the core personality, but the core is generally the long-term host of the system. Sophie does not see her alters in a positive light. She believes they'll take over for good and she will cease to exist. The other huge blunder that really grates my nerves is the belief that alters who are not the core are one-dimensional. This means Trisha, Jessie, and RJ are not seen as valid. This is harmful to systems. Some systems have alters called fragments, and these fragments appear to be less formed, but that does not make them one-dimensional. There are some things the show did get right. It briefly covers how Sophie and system were formed in the first place. It does not specify when the trauma starts, but indicates that it has been happening for an extensive amount of time. It does not go into full detail, but enough information is given. The interactions between alters is believable. It is not uncommon for alters to dislike each other. I am impressed and grateful that Cal introduces himself and others in the room each time he meets a new alter. He makes some accommodations for each alter to try and help them feel safe and welcome. He keeps his tone calm and gentle when each new alter fronts, for the most part. The episode does have two massive downfalls beyond the inaccurate science. The first one is an incredibly triggering scene. We have put a timestamp for the scene in the description so that you may skip it if you decide to watch the episode. Cal physically and verbally attacks Sophie to trigger out RJ, including threatening sexual assault. I won't go into detail about what he says, but it was triggering and disturbing. His intention in doing so was to try and identify the murderer that RJ saw. The filming and acting makes the assault seem very real and intense. After this very disturbing scene, Cal puts Sophie in danger to catch the murderer. She is unprepared for this and gets physically assaulted before the police step in. The second scene is less difficult to watch, but the lack of preparation is not the greatest. The acting in the episode is great. Erika Christensen, who plays the system, does an incredible job portraying each alter. There are different postures, vocal patterns, and body language for each alter. I am not sure how much research she did into DID, but her acting has been one of the most believable I've seen to date. The costume, hair, and makeup is also really good at depicting what each alter would choose to look like. Trisha is very neat and well put together, whilst Jessie has a very different styles of hair, makeup, and clothes. I am told that the body, facial expression, and language analysis of the show is accurate, but when it comes to other factors, the show does fall short. If you want to watch the episode for yourself, I recommend that you watch it with someone who can skip scenes that are too difficult. The acting is pretty good and is a decent representation of what DID or OSCD can look like, but the science and technical terms weren't that great. It is not the worst representation of DID, but it could have been better. It was relatively good for when the show came out, but we have higher standards today. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you would like to watch this episode for yourself, we have left the details for it in the description below. Please take care if you do decide to watch it. Please know you are loved by the incredible God of the universe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!